Hey yo, I need somebody to pray for me. I need somebody to pray for me. And yeah, he coming at me faithfully. Hey yo, I need somebody to pray for me. I need somebody to pray for me. My father gon' make a way for me. Hey yo, I need somebody to pray with me.
Thanks again for watching another episode of What's Your Story. I'm Eric Durant-T, and right now I have here with me
Bobby Aiello.
And let me tell y'all, I got a treat for y'all today. This is gonna blow your mind. It's gonna bless your ears, it's gonna bless your eyes, and it's gonna bless your heart. So Bobby, tell the people, what's your story?
So this is my story. I'm going to give you a little insight of what happened 24 years ago. I'm going to start on the 10th and go into the 11th of 2011, 9/11. Just to give you a little background on myself, I'm a retired NYPD detective, and at the time of 2011, I had 9 years on the job. I was already a detective, and I was coming home from a midnight. We do a modified midnights, like from 10:30 at night to around 6 in the morning on the 10th. And we had some overtime, so I was on my way home. And on my way home, I'm listening to the radio. And all of a sudden, someone joked like on a radio thing that said that there was a small plane that ran into the Twin Towers. So I was like, that's odd, because it was a beautiful day. Sun was out. A little chilly, but it was not a cloud in the sky. So, you know, we didn't have cell phones back then, no influences, no media that I can look on my phone. So I'm just listening, trying to get the news stations on the news, try to get, you know, an ear of what's going on. So I'm still traveling home. It was like an hour and a half it takes me to go home from, I worked in Brooklyn, just to let you know. And I was on my way home. It takes around an hour and a half. And I would say it was around 8:40 or 8:46. that the news came out that a plane hit the Twin Towers, the North Tower, actually. And then we found out that they said it was a commuter plane. So now I'm like, oh God, what is going on here? So I keep on traveling home. I made it home just before 9 o'clock. And just at that point, I got on, I turned the TV on, said hello to my wife. She was already watching it. And we watched the second tower, the South Tower, get hit. And I was like, we're going to war. I was like, my God, I didn't know what was going to happen. I worked and covered Brooklyn. This is happening in Manhattan in New York. So I wasn't sure if it was going to affect me, but we knew that this was something serious. It was probably going to bring us into some sort of a war or something. So we didn't know how devastating this was going to be for everybody. So we're waiting and watching the devastation. And around, I want to say, almost 10 o'clock, the South Tower, that got hit second, fell. And to see that, and then to see the news actually showing people running from a cloud of smoke and everything else, it was like watching a movie. It was unbelievable. I'm like, oh my goodness. So it happened, I think, as fast as that happened, there was a thing going across the bottom of the TV. I said it was a teletype. It's really just an emergency broadcast saying that it wants all fire and police personnel to report back to their commands. Now, I just got home. I had, just to give you a background on myself, I got married in 94, in 95 had my first child, and then I had a second one in 97, and then 2001, just 8 months before this, I had my third. So my wife's got my 8-month-old baby in her hands, my daughter. My other one's sleeping, my other daughter, she's basically 3, and my son was in like pre-K. So now I got to gather the family. Like I was telling you earlier, we didn't have cell phones. So my concern was, well, let's get the family together. I got to go in. I called in. They said, listen, we're not going there yet. Get ready. Just make sure you're in here by 2 o'clock. I said, no problem. So went and got my child, brought him back home, spoke to my wife, gave her a hug and kiss, and told her as soon as I can, I will call her. Now we had flip phones. There was BlackBerry and it was flip phones, but there was no intent. It wasn't like that kind of stuff. It was just basically text messaging and stuff like that. So, but we knew everything was down. Like in the city, they lost all cell service. Not that it was a big thing back then, but it was done. It was down because the towers were on one of the towers. So I told her when I get in, and as soon as I can, I will find a payphone and I will let you know what's going on. But please don't worry, because I knew we were in for a long day, a long night, I should say. So that being said, kiss my kids goodbye. Pray to God that I'm going to be coming back. They were not knowing what we're going into, if we're going to get hit by anything else. I think that's what everyone was thinking. Like, what else is next? And then to hear that, then the flight that in Pennsylvania, and then the Pentagon. So I'm like, this is all out. We are being attacked. So we knew this was going to be very serious. Just didn't know to what extent my part was going to be. Now, thank the Lord, I wasn't there in Manhattan when this happened, because I know if I was, I definitely would have been there, like the firemen and policemen that were there, to run and help, because that's what we do. It's not even something you think about. It's just something that we do. You know, it's not even a thought. You know, it creeps in your mind. Yes, you want to be careful for your wife, your family, and, you know, just hope that you're in God's hands and you're doing God's work, that you're going to go and do the best you can, because that's what you're there for. You know, when people are running away, we're running towards it. So that is what we do. And, you know, it's something, it doesn't make me any special. It's just a calling. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just something I had inside me to want to help change people's minds and be there. And just, that's what fulfilled me. That was my calling. So that being said, I get to my command in Brooklyn, and we're all itching to go, because we're hearing all this stuff. And then it was about, I want to say now, closer to 5:20 in the evening, and we just heard that the building number 7 just collapsed and fell. So to hear all this, we're hearing all this stories. So let me give you a couple of the stories that we're hearing. The first thing we heard was only around 18 people were saved after the 2 towers fell. There was a void because of a staircase that saved some firemen and the people that they were saving, bringing them back down. Now, these firemen, wearing anywhere from 40 to 70 pounds worth of equipment, going up the stairs to save people's lives, because no one had any idea that these buildings would collapse. They thought the fires would either burn out or contain themselves up in the upper floors. Because remember, the first plane hit, I believe it was in the 70s to 74th floor to around the 85th floor, and the other one was a little higher, which was in the 90s. So it was contained up high, and yes, there was people trapped, and we weren't sure what was going to happen to that. But before even leaving, we were hearing about stories of people jumping because the flames, the decisions they had to make to either burn or to perish by jumping to their death. So there's a lot of things that you would just, you question a lot. You question your spirit, your religion, everything comes to mind. Like, why is this happening? But you got to stay strong, and you got to believe there's a reason for all this. So we're hearing these are some of the rumors. I now get to my command. I hear about guys I worked with. I'm hearing about family members that worked in Manhattan at the buildings that are missing. So it hits hard. It's like you just want to go and help. You want to find them. You want to figure this out. You're hoping to God there's voids that, somehow, some way, some of these people are going to survive. Now, thank the Lord that people did turn around and get out of those buildings before those things collapsed. But some people, trying to be good employees, went back into the buildings to man phones or answer questions because loved ones were calling. So they felt that was their duty because they were either management or whatever, and they stayed in the buildings and unfortunately wound up perishing. I'm going to bring you to now. We get to go to the site. We have 1 and 2 is the Twin Towers. That's North and South Towers. We have 2, 3, 4, and 5 on fire. 7 collapsed. Okay, 6 is damaged, but it's not on fire. So when we arrive, they send us to the FDR on the east side to walk over to the west side of downtown Manhattan. We all march. It's like a march, but pretty much in order. We all walking towards the site, and they take us through a building. And when I tell you, it looked like we were going through a movie scene, a set, I should say. I'm sorry. I can see it vividly in my mind right now, and I can try to explain it to you. Between the dust that looked like snow, but it was dark, the broken glass, stories of steel sticking out, pile of rubble, and just going. We looked like a bomb really went off in this area. The building we went through looked like we were going through like a war site. So we finally get through, and they sit there, and they sent us to another line. And it's like, get a pair of gloves. Here's a paper mask, and we want you guys to go to the pile. So they sent us to the pile. We're looking at all the faces. Everybody's got that blank look on their face, like what? We all want to help, we're itching, like what's going on? Where's the equipment? Why aren't they pulling this metal off and what's going on? But you can see no one was prepared for this. The city of New York was not prepared for this. And it wasn't that simple to get the equipment there to start doing that. So right now we're at a rescue. It's one of the largest crime scenes New York's ever had. Maybe, I want to say the world, but as far as the United States, it's a big crime scene. So safeguarding evidence, trying to save people is our mission. And as a detective, they asked us, they put us on there's a rescue people that are known to go through voids, and they have the ropes and they're trained for that. We were there to assist them. If they found anything, we had to voucher it. We had, that was our job. Now there's makeshift morgues that were there. There's triage. People came to help. The local hospitals were there. Everybody, the Red Cross, unbelievable. The Salvation Army, unbelievable. They were there. They helped us. They gave us boots, gloves we needed. They helped. And people were just pouring in with love. There was water delivered. There was food delivered. People wanted to help, but obviously because it's a crime scene, and also the buildings were still unstable, they had to keep some people at bay, even though they wanted to help. And we had people come from all over the country: firemen, police, medics, everybody. Everybody wanted to help. There was Teamsters, truck drivers, everybody. Construction workers. Everybody wanted to do their part. That was the amazing thing about this tragedy. Something so terrible actually brought to light how good people are and could be. And that there was no politics involved, no religion involved, no race involved. We were all brothers and sisters gathering together to help this cause. And the hardest part of this is that not only to see this devastation, and we had a lot of questions, of course, like anyone does. How does something like this happen? Why aren't they doing this? Or why can't I do more? Like I was saying, we were basically given 5-gallon buckets. We were gone to a pile, and basically we were passing buckets like this for hours, full of rubble, paper mask, sweating, in uniform, because we had to make sure we were in uniform, and because they want to make sure they know who we were. This is the first day. That's what we did for hours. So from 5 o'clock to past midnight, I know I was there until almost 4 a.m. the first day. That's all we did. And it was frustrating. We had alarms going off. We had fires still going, smoke everywhere. If they said the alarm goes off, we all had to evacuate because they felt another building may collapse. So it was a lot of uncertainty. And it was a lot of stress. And again, it's very frustrating too, because you want to do more. You figure, like, what is this doing? You're just taking a bucket, passing down a line, and they were putting it down further downfield, so then a truck would come eventually and pick it up, and they took it to Staten Island where the dump is. And I'll get to that later because that's another part of my story. So we did that, and it was not satisfying. We're still listening to rumors. People are still missing. They're not finding anyone. I'm looking around. I don't see anything. I don't see any bathroom stuff, no toilets, no urinals, no desks, no computers, nothing. It's just basically powder and brick and, steel. And it's like, you're like, where is everything? But then you think. I remember going there, visiting that building and having to look up. It's 110 stories. It was one of the largest, 2 largest buildings for a long time in the world. It was the stature of New York, besides, the Statue of Liberty. And obviously that was like the biggest draw. People would come to see it. It was in TV programs like Friends and stuff. You'll see in the beginning of anything that had to do with New York, they always showed the Twin Towers. So it was iconic. So to see that it was gone, and it was bizarre. It was like I said, a movie set. It really was. And, the hardest part of this was now feeling like we're not doing enough, So they're going to send us home. We're there for almost 15, 16 hours the first night. I knew by just looking at, like I was telling you, I didn't see anything. I didn't see the bodies that we were told that were jumping. They weren't there. I thought I was going to see a bunch of, crime scenes and stuff. They were buried. So anyone that fell, they wasn't there to see anymore. They were crushed. You know, one of the first firemen, some people don't even realize this, one of the first firemen that died in 9/11 was killed from someone that jumped from one of the upper stories of the Twin Towers, landed right on the fireman, and he was the first to die. I don't remember his name, but that was these are the things that we were being told while we were there. Like I said, there was 18 people that were saved in a stairway from the first few hours, like the first 2 or 3 hours after the buildings collapsed. But after that, there was no sign of life. We were just looking for voids. A lot of people didn't realize that in New York, between the two towers, down in the basement area, there was a mall. A very high-end mall, the Banana Republic. It had all different restaurants and stuff like that. So they were hoping that maybe some people could have been in a void because the buildings didn't go too far into under the ground level. It did, but not too far. So that was a job of, like I said, ESU and some of the fire departments that were trained. They would be. You can watch them work as team. The teamwork that was unbelievable to watch them with the dogs and the lines and going through the voids, and we were trying to help and just getting excited that maybe we might find somebody, maybe we can have a story to tell and say, oh my God, it was great, we found these people. Nothing. It was disappointing. The hardest part, the next day we show up and we have to do the same walk we're walking through, but this time, as we're getting closer to ground zero, they have a makeshift memorial with pictures already popping up of missing people and family members crying, looking at us for answers. And we're just getting there to see those looks on those people's faces, that no answers being told because no one can tell them anything. We didn't want to say that it's still rescue. So it wasn't like they gave up and they weren't going to give up because it was so much rubble and so much devastation that you couldn't tell if there was a chance that there was a void and somebody could be alive. But you had to walk past these people and they were begging us to give them answers, and that really grabbed at the heart. That was the hardest thing those few days, because every day we left and came and left, we had to go past them. And there was 2 different areas that they had this, and you can see all the pictures of their loved ones, and they were asking, do you know? And that was hard on us. That was one of the hardest things. And knowing that I had guys I went to school with, guys I worked with, like I said, I had family members that were down there. So it was hard. It was really hard to do. So we get there the second day, and now they're giving respirators to us. We didn't give it to us the first day, but because they didn't know. Obviously, we find out later on that both Twin Towers are full of asbestos. Between the asbestos, the cleaning materials, the sheetrock, and anything else that was in that building, you can only imagine that with that cloud that covered all the streets and cars, with inches and inches of soot all over the place, was everywhere. So we get fitted for that, and now we get sent back to the pile, and we're doing the buckets, and again being frustrated. So then they had called upon if there was any volunteers, detectives that wanted to voucher any evidence. Still checking in with the morgues and the triage, nobody. There's nobody to bring there. There's nobody being triaged. But let me step back. Before I got there were over 10,000 people that were actually treated. 10,000 people. Some very seriously, and some had minor stuff that escaped or got caught up in the cloud of smoke and got hurt from running or got hit with some debris and stuff like that. So there was a lot of people being taken care of, but I'm talking about people that there was no one to find after that part. So that is something that people didn't understand. That it was very frustrating because we were trying to find something to try to give people an understanding of, okay, we can find your loved one, or give them some idea of what was going on. Now, so I got tired of doing the buckets. I was like, it didn't feel like it was really making much sense to me, but I knew it had to be done. But I wanted to go and help. If I can help with the line, if I can help voucher, or I can, follow the dogs. They get a hit, you're supposed to look and see if you can find any kind of DNA, any kind of clothing, any ID, stuff like that. During one of these times, I got called upon. A dog had a hit. I want to say, it looked like to me it would have been between the Twin Towers, somewhere in that vicinity. It was full of rubble and stuff like that, but they got a hit. So they were digging it up and stuff, and they came across what was basically, I want to say, from a forearm to a hand. That's it. there was nothing else. It was solid, and anything else looked like it was just like it was gone. There was nothing there. But inside this we knew it was a man's hand, was a car keys. So I had to put my gloves on. We had to take it, me and this other detective, and we had to put it in a bag. And this way, hopefully, those keys and the fact that we found that part that the dogs did, that would be able to give somebody some peace of mind. He was probably running away from the buildings as they collapsed, and the rubble came down on top of him. So that was pretty crazy to see, and I'll never get that out of my head. The sights and sounds, the smells from being down there, to this day, if I walk past a construction site, the smell of cement or I don't know, just something about that just kind of brings me back and gives me like, almost catching my breath. And I'm sure there's other people that have a lot worse that were there when it collapsed. Now, this is things I'm experiencing, and it's after the fact. I can only imagine with the people, regular civilians, not just the cops and firemen that were down there. Regular people that lived in the area, worked in that area, that had to see and go through all that. It must have been just devastating for them. But so after that, I was still waiting around, visit the morgue. We had to get assigned to a morgue, make sure that we went and vouched the evidence that we had there. Trying to see little bits and pieces people found. If it was a piece of clothing or something that they assumed may have some DNA, they would voucher it and they bring it into a tent, and that's what they did. Then it wound up, eventually there was nothing going on, going back to the pile and trying to listen, hopefully to hear stories of, hey, they found a void, or hey, they found people. Nothing. So we leave the second day a little bit more suited up, but now more depressed because I knew it. I said it to my wife when I went home the first day. I don't think anyone's there, because just the way it looked, it'd be a miracle that, it's just so hard to explain when you see fire engines crushed, cars crushed, buildings destroyed, facades of buildings are off, just in the surrounding area of these buildings. Can you imagine 110 stories just coming down like a freight train and crushing everything in its path? They had the command center was there because, again, obviously they didn't know. No one knew that this would ever happen, that they would fall. But also the uncertainty of not knowing, is anything else coming? Is there another plane going to come another day, or a bomb go off somewhere else? So it was intense. I can tell you the first few days were very intense, and then very sad, because then as the days went on, you just kind of knew, you were doing the best to keep the integrity of the site, get the evidence, secure it, and try to give people peace of mind. If we could find anything that, gave that, people, all right, their loved one, it's sad, but at least they knew this is what happened, or where their loved one was. So that was kind of the worst parts of it. But to getting back to just seeing the humanity, that was the one thing that kept me going. I got to tell you, I want to say almost a good year, the people were just different. People, not just the police, to firemen, to first responders and everything, in general, just everybody gave like a look. Even like the kids we knew that were doing the wrong things in the neighborhoods we were covering, it was like almost like a respect, or like a timeout. Like they did their business, we did our business. Our job is to catch and break the law, whatever it is. But there was a mutual respect now that was never really there, not by the majority, I would say. So that was like, wow, this could hang on. If people can understand that this is what it's about, good and bad, not about color, not about race, not about religion, not about politics, especially nowadays. It's just insane that we're all humans. We all have families. We all have loved ones. It doesn't matter. It could happen to anyone, and that's the kind of stuff that you try to change people's minds. And like working these streets, that was my thing. They had their opinion. They look at me, they look and say, okay, he doesn't understand. He can't assimilate. He doesn't know what we're going through. That's wrong, because I wanted to learn. See, if I didn't want to know, that's different. I wanted to know. I'm working with people. I saw the hurt. I saw the cycle that was going on, and questioning, where's the family? What don't they see? Don't they understand that you got to get that chip off your shoulder? You got to do better than that. These are the things that, that keeps you going when you're in the position I was in, and all police officers are in general. You know, when people say, with coming up to us afterwards and saying, "Oh, thank you, appreciate you," I was saying, like, listen, I'm just doing my job. I want to thank the people, the men and women that did military and went to wars for us and took care of us. Those are the people that I look as heroes. You know, me doing my job. It's uncomfortable to hear someone say, "Hey, thank you for your service. Thank you as a cop," because that's not something you normally hear. And for those few months, it was like, wow. It was like gives you life, it breathes life into you. Kind of feels like, yeah, you know what? I'm making a difference. Now I feel it. Now I'm actually feeling what I was here to do. And that was the most important thing. Now, just a few more things, just getting back. So, you know, a week goes on, it's the same stuff, walking past. It was a terrible thing. That was pulled on the heartstrings. Mostly is going past and seeing those people, getting phone calls. People, even friends of mine, were calling, "What can I bring? What can I do?" It was just an amazing time, a tragedy, bringing us all together like that. Yes. But then we got a call now that, you know, basically they're going to leave it to some specialists that are going to be there now, and we're going to move on, go back to our commands, or we want to get sent to Staten Island because they wanted some detectives over there because they were pulling all the rubble that we were doing, all the stuff and all the big stuff that they're pulling out there. They're bringing to Staten Island to the landfill. And they wanted people to be there in case they found or the dogs hit on anything, and to be there to voucher and again, try to get closure for people. So I wound up doing that too. But all in all, it's something I don't want, you know, people say, I've heard people say, "Oh, another year, they got to say the names," and you know, they don't get it. They don't understand what these people went through there. Because if you didn't live in the tri-state area, you weren't by the Pentagon, you weren't in, you know, Pennsylvania where the plane went down, I don't think it hit as hard. People saw it, but it didn't hit at home. Like being a native New Yorker and living there and growing up there and having family there, to see the devastation that was there. I mean, to see the pain and knowing people that died from this and suffered from this, and the cancers. I mean, we lost almost 3,000 people the day of. It was like 27, then you want to include the other areas, it was like 29. That was just the day that it collapsed, right? The day that it happened. Since then, the numbers are almost doubled for all the 9/11 related illnesses, cancers. I lost more friends. I've been to more funerals after the aftermath of 9/11 and years after. You hear, "Oh, I get a phone call from a friend, a buddy I worked with. Hey, so-and-so died, and oh my God, he had this, he was ravaged with cancer, he had this." All from being down there because we're breathing in all that soot and that stuff because we weren't aware, you know, being exposed to it as much. As even the respirators the second day on, you had to make sure you're wearing it, you know, and some guys got hot, they took it down, and you know, who knows if that was the reason why they were more infected. Have to go to the World Trade Center. They have a thing that they test us every year for our lungs and stuff like that. I joined it just to make sure for my family. You know, I didn't feel anything. I didn't get hurt at the site, but it was like, you don't know the long-term effects of being down there. You know, so that was another thing that now had to be in the back of my mind, having 3 young children and doing the job I was doing. So, but thank God I'm here. I was able to retire after 20 years. I'm down here now in North Carolina and loving it. And I just want to keep on enjoying my family, my friends, and you know, and that's my story.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. That words can't even explain that story, man. That was so powerful, my brother.
Thank you.
Man, and no one would ever know how y'all would feel, man, how y'all still feel, you know? I know y'all still feel. I know it probably feel like yesterday.
No, it does.
Man, brother, we really appreciate that, man.
Thank you for having me.
You're our hero.
Nah,
You know, I used to look up to MJ, LeBron, all them, but no.
still do.
I look up to people like him. I'm telling you, man, these are the real heroes, man. They don't even think about being a hero. They just get out there and do what they're called to do. They do their job. So, brother, I just want to thank you, man.
Thank you.
For your story and thank you for your time, man.
Thank you.
Wow. Whew. I don't even want to stop this video. It's good God Almighty. So that was another episode of What's Your Story?